Well, here it is. All right, broke down on Friday. Today is Monday. I've been on the forums all weekend trying to find out if I could get any. There's no videos whatsoever for head removal on a 2.0 T 2-liter turbo TSI engine. I've seen a couple for the FSIs, which is the previous generation, but none for this one. So I'm going to document some of it. There's a couple of real good videos on the intake removal. These have real bad carbon build. They're known for carbon buildup because the direct injected engine EGR recirculates the or the PCV recirculates the gas and the oil vapors, and it coats the intake ports and it coats the intake valves. I've got much more major issues than that according to what I could find. So I've got no compression, and when you crank it you can hear stuff slapping around in there, so it's bad. If I had if this had happened when I was either at idle speed or if I just started it, it wouldn't be such an issue. However, the fact that I was going probably 70 miles an hour decelerating coming off of the toll here, it was literally just this. It was that fast. I lost power, and I pushed the clutch in, put it in neutral, and my RPMs immediately went to 0. And when I pulled over to the side of the road, I had an idea what it was, and I tried to crank it just a little bit, and then as soon as I hit the start button on this thing, you could hear it was freewheeling. There's no compression whatsoever, and you can hear stuff clanking around inside. I would do it for you now, but well, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do it so you can hear it. The damage has been done. Can't get much worse, but stand by for the excitement. So yeah, that's it. It's definitely something clanging around in there. You heard it. So let's get started. Alright, got the head back from the machine shop. He was able to find me a set of used valves off of another engine. Saved me about 350 bucks. No, actually, saved me about 405. They are factory Volkswagen valves, and he put them all on his mill and faced them. He said they were within like 1/1000th, so he was able to go in and install them here and reseat them. So I've got factory VW valves. He's cleaned up all the intake chambers. I need to get my dividers cleaned up and reinstalled, but already got some. I'm going to go ahead and do assembly lube on these. I want to get everything put back together and do a quick flush on some Castrol synthetic, and then I've got a gallon of or 5 quarts of liquid moly to put in it for factory specs. But step one, getting the head ready and getting all of my parts and pieces cleaned up. I'll be working on these for the next day or two with some solvent, probably acetone lacquer thinner, gasoline is a pretty good solvent, and getting all these parts and pieces cleaned up, getting my fasteners identified. I've already got them in bags as they came out. I labeled them. There's throttle body, etc., etc. But I'm not going to put dirty pieces back on the car. Here's my followers for the camshaft. I've got the, when I took those out, I labeled them all. Intake 1 through, or exhaust 1 through 7, and intake. That's exhaust 6. Some of this stuff is smudged, obviously. Oh, that's E5, 6. That's probably 3. intake 1. So that's next. Time to get started. Okay, I1, intake 1. I marked these, so I took them out and marked them left to right. So I1 through 8, and then E1 through 8. I'm going to go back in the same order. I just took I1 out of the bag. And contact surface there for the valve. Go. And I'll do this 15 more times. Next are the cams. Luckily I had some foam subfoots. I don't know what this is called. This is what you use for, you're going to put like floor, wooden flooring in your, or solid surface flooring or whatever the hell it's called. Laminated, whatever. You're going to put some laminate flooring in your house. And this is the stuff you use to separate the concrete from the wood. And I had some left over for a project from the project that I did, so I used them to wrap my intake and exhaust cam for safekeeping until I got it all put back together. Okay, a couple of things. Getting the head ready for reassembly. I took the cam bridge off of the front, and the valve that or the actuating valve that controls the cam timing for the intake side takes a special tool. There are actually two sizes. One, the pins are offset, and one of them they're equidistant from each other. And this is from the toolkit that I bought. And on the inside here, these are the ones that are offset, eccentric. And these are the directly across from each other. This is a left-handed thread, so whenever you get ready to take this off, you'll actually go clockwise. Clockwise loosens it. So I've got my new cam timing chain on here. You can see right here. Get close up on you. This link is marked. It's a different color, and it lines up with the timing tick mark on the intake cam. The same thing over here. There's a notch in the wheel on the timing gear. It lines up with this. And then on the bottom, exactly at 6 o'clock, right down here on the bottom, is where the timing mark is going to be on the primary drive gear. So I'm to the point now where I'm getting ready to start assembling the head. I'm using ultra gray or mega gray, same thing. This is mega gray, this is Versachem. This is actually made by Permatex, and I saved about $1.50. So, but it's a mega gray. It's a high torque, oil resistant. I don't know. Somebody told me that Volkswagen recommends their own, which is about $150 a tube. I don't see why this would be any different than an oil pan or whatever on standard domestic engines. So important to note here, around each one of the spark plug holes, excuse me, and then all the way down the side on the ribs, there are grooves cut, machined into the head. So you want to put the sealant on the cam bridge first before, and instead of putting it just on the head here. So you want to make sure you put it on the cam bridge. This calls for a 10-minute cure. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. We're going to drop this down on top, go check my torque specs for the bolts, and take our next step. Alright, so I've got made progress on the top end here. Got the pistons cleaned up. I'm going to be doing cleaning up the surface for the block to mount the head. I've got the dial indicator in place to find top dead center, because I have been working on the new timing chains, getting the old guides out, old chain out, and new guides and new chain in. So the first chain here we have is the ones that's farthest to the back, on the far back gear, is the balancing shaft. And the kit that I bought came with 3 new guides for the balancing shaft, and there are 5 different timing marks that you have to line up on these. So on the balancing shaft on the right, there's the balancing shaft is gear driven by that pulley right there, and you have to line up the 1 pin on the top with the 2 pins on the gear. Once you get that done, you should be at 2 o'clock. Over here on the other balancing shaft, you should be at about 1 o'clock, and then on the bottom, you should be at about 8 o'clock. Now it's hard to see because, hang on a second, let me get a light. There we go. So the mark on the bottom here is about 8 o'clock. You can see the link is a different color, and on each one of the gears there's a mark, and you just line up the chain on each one of the colored links. And again, the one up on the top left is the exhaust balancing gear, or the exhaust balance shaft. On the top right is the intake balance shaft, and on the bottom is the actual gear itself. So line those up and good to go. I've got the new guides in place, and I have the new tensioner as well right there. Got that installed, and I am now moving on to the cams for the intake and the exhaust, which is the head, which that means the next point that I'm at, I'm going to be mounting the head back on. Got it over there, it's ready to go. Got the vacuum pump on it, fuel pump on it, the cam position sensor is right there. I've got that mounted right there, and that's going to be going on next. I'll drop the chain through this slot right here. Once I get the chain on there, then the next one is going to be the oil pump timing chain. The kit that I bought did not come with a new tensioner or a new guide rail for the oil pump, so I guess it's not a big issue, but we're going to get that on next. Now let's see, I did have to remove the chain belt tensioner here, and there was one bolt in the timing chain cover that would not come out. That was behind the idler pulley for the belt tensioner, so that had to come out. And that's actually, there's a shaft that goes all the way through this mounting bracket right here, and on the back side there's a bolt that you have to access from the top right down through here. Right there. But once you get access to that bolt right there, whoops, sorry, right there, that's the boss for it. That shaft will actually slide back through this way here, and then you put a bolt on the end, and your cam chain or your timing belt tensioner is at that point isn't reinstalled. So I did find there was a little plastic doodad that fell off, and I guess it's some kind of sweeper or a bushing or something, but you can see it right there, this piece right here, and that fell off when I slid the tensioner out. I didn't know where it came from until I turned the tensioner over. Right now the tensioner is about 180 degrees upside down, and that was when I found that tab sticking out, so I put the plastic piece back on there. But I'll be careful when I rotate it back around to reinstall that tensioner that that plastic piece doesn't fall off. So next, let's see, head on and let's get started on the cam chain tensioner, or the cam chain, the cam timing chain.